Have a prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Dear Lord Heavenly Father, tonight we come to you with appreciation and thankfulness. Mecklenburg County and its citizens have very much to be grateful for. Though you bless us continually, there still is a real need for self-governance amongst our people. Please give this board the wisdom it needs to conduct our business in a way that would be beneficial to our citizens, but more importantly, in line with you and your word. For it's in Jesus' name I ask. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I will now call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everyone has had a chance to look at the minutes from our February 10th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. We'll now have a public hearing on charter communications. I'm going to ask Alex to give us a little background on that before we go into the public hearing.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. The Code of Virginia requires that local governments, including the County of Mecklenburg, grant franchise agreements to any service provider who wishes to provide paid TV service, mainly cable agreements. This has been an ordinance that's been in place for a long time, and the county has granted several of these since the 1980s. Actually, the first one was in 1988. This is a non-exclusive agreement, so we can give it to multiple people. What has occurred in this situation is that Charter Communications, which is the parent company of Spectrum, which is one of the leading paid TV providers in the state of North Carolina, has been doing a number of projects related to broadband deployment, just the same as Empower and plenty of others have been doing, mainly funded by the federal government since the pandemic period. During their working process, they have strayed across the state line a few times and have actually physically installed the service into Virginia and into neighborhoods in Mecklenburg County, but they do not have the authority presently to operate the service in Virginia. And so what this would do would be to grant Charter the ability to operate that service in Mecklenburg County. There are two areas in particular that this has occurred. Franchise area number one is in the kind of the Wilson Fork, south of the dam area. And then number two is a few neighborhoods south of Lake Gaston in the Norcova area of the county. And so what you will ultimately have to do once the public hearing is concluded is you're going to have to adopt the ordinance, which will enact the franchise agreement. But in doing so, we need to adopt it with the separate Appendix A rather than Appendix A in the agreement, because we did go back and forth with Charter late last week and added the second franchise area to it, which is something that we had several residents of that particular neighborhood strongly advocate for. And so we would definitely want to get them the service. So we need to adopt that separate attachment.
Okay, so now we will open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward. Please state your name. Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Errol Queen. I spoke with Alex last week. I also spoke with Sterling. So I'm a resident of Timbuktu, which is a neighborhood that the service is in. And everybody, the sign at the front of the neighborhood says Spectrum is here. You call Spectrum. Your address is listed on their website, and you get nowhere. So I spent about 6 hours on the phone with them trying to figure it out, and they finally told me that they didn't have a franchise agreement. So reached out to Alex, reached out to Sterling, and they were both very good at responding and moving at a speed and pace that I wasn't expecting. So thanks to both of them for doing it. So as I shared with Alex, I primarily live in Raleigh. We can't live and work at the lake just because the internet service doesn't allow for it. So having that ability for myself, as well as a lot of other neighbors that we have, would give us the ability to work here, shop here, eat here, spend more money in Mecklenburg County than we would normally. So means a lot to our neighborhood. Hopefully, you guys can reach an agreement. And thanks again for these two people being very responsive to the request.
Very good. Anyone else? Hearing no one, we will now close the public hearing and the wishes of the board to adopt the ordinance that Mr. Gottschall was speaking of.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Adopt the resolution, please.
Motion's been made. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Okay, Economic Development Committee, Mr. Tanner.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Economic Development Committee reconvened on Monday, February 10th at 1:30 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. Members present: Tom Tanner, Chairman; David Brankley, Dennis Spence, and Sterling Wilkerson. Others present: Alex Gottschalk, County Administrator; Angie Kelly, the Economic Development Director; Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator; and Jenny Whittemore, Clerk. Chairman Tanner called the meeting to order. The committee heard two presentations regarding the future membership of Mecklenburg County in a regional economic organization. Upon a motion of Mr. Brankley, the Economic Development Committee recommends to the Board of Supervisors that the Mecklenburg County seek membership within the Southern Virginia Regional Alliance. To effect this outcome, the County Administrator and the Director of Economic Development are hereby directed to petition the Alliance for membership and shall take any other necessary actions in furtherance of securing the county's admittance into the Alliance. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion that we move forward with seeking membership into the Southern Virginia Regional Alliance.
Everyone's heard that motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Tanner.
Thank you.
Ms. Blackwell, Personnel Committee.
A meeting of the Personnel Committee was held in and for the County of Mecklenburg on February 27, 2025 at 4:00 p.m. in the Sheriff's Office Conference Room. Members present: Brenda Blackwell, Chair; Claudia Lundy, Sterling Wilkinson, and Tom Tanner. Also present: Jim Jennings, Andy Hargrove, Kirk Gravitt, Alex Gottschalk, County Administrator; Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator; Jenny Whitmore, Clerk; Bobby Hawkins, Sheriff; Major Brent Evans, Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office; Captain Chris Whitmore, Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office; Ben Duncan, Director of Emergency Communications; Justin Birch, Director of Emergency Services; Lisa Wagstaff, Commissioner of the Revenue; and Marsha Siemens, Treasurer. Mr. Alex Gottschalk presented the Mecklenburg County Fiscal Year 2026 Full-Time Employee Pay Plan Proposal. During the Fiscal Year 2025 budget deliberations, the board instructed county administration to examine the pay plan and propose adjustments for the fiscal year 2026 budget. This directive was reinforced during the recruitment process for the County Emergency Services Director. In developing the proposal, county administration engaged with various departments, including the Sheriff's Office, Emergency Communications, and Emergency Services. The proposal outlined the evolution of public sector compensation, which traditionally offered lower salaries in exchange for better benefits and stability. However, changes over time, including slower revenue growth and the shift in pension models, eroded this trade. With private sector employers offering more competitive compensation and increasingly comparable benefits, localities inclusive of Mecklenburg County face increasing challenges in attracting and retaining employees. The new pay plan simplifies the classification system, reducing 20 grades to 9 classifications, provides for larger separations between classifications, shows career progression opportunities, and includes a minimum 6% salary increase for all current employees, with an average adjustment of 12% and a median increase of 10%. Making these adjustments would bring Mecklenburg closer to pay rates for Virginia in the statewide pay area. This adjustment plan applies to the county general fund workforce, with social services and school employees receiving a 6% increase. The latter was pre-discussed with the Director of Social Services and the Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Gottschalk also estimated the total cost of the proposal, provided some alternative options, and addressed the need for future adjustments to occur at a frequency more regular than that which occurred in the past. A thorough and detailed discussion was held on the topic, with all individuals present contributing to the dialogue. Among the topics mentioned included the need for the pay adjustment, how Mecklenburg is faring in the employment market, and alternative fiscal selections. Upon a motion of Mr. Tanner, the committee voted unanimously to instruct staff to increase the minimum salaries presented by 10%, while putting extra emphasis on employees with extensive service to Mecklenburg County, particularly in the areas of public safety. A meeting to further review the topic was scheduled for Wednesday, March 5th at 5:30 p.m., and county administration was directed to resubmit the pay plan under the new scenario prior to the meeting. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned. A meeting of the Personnel Committee was held in and for the County of Mecklenburg on March 5, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the Sheriff's Office Conference Room. Members present: Brenda Blackwell, Chair; Claudia Lundy, Sterling Wilkinson, and Tom Tanner, virtually. Also present: Jim Jennings, Andy Hargrove, David Brankley, Kirk Gravitt, Alex Gottschalk, County Administrator; Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator; Jenny Whitmore, Clerk; Bobby Hawkins, Sheriff; Major Brent Evans, Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office; Captain Chris Whitmore, Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office; Ben Duncan, Director of Emergency Communications; Justin Birch, Director of Emergency Services; Lisa Wagstaff, Commissioner of the Revenue; Marsha Siemens, Treasurer; Michelle Gordon, Clerk of the Circuit Court; Alan Nash, Commonwealth's Attorney; and Jason Corwin, General Registrar. Ms. Brenda Blackwood, Chair, called the meeting to order. Mr. Alex Gottschalk advised the committee that he had run a new scenario based on the instructions contained within the vote of the committee the prior week, and that he distributed the committee's revised pay plan proposal for the members' review. Ms. Blackwell opened the floor for questions. Mrs. Claudia Lundy stated that the proposal is affordable and emphasized that she believes everyone should receive a raise, not just some employees. Mr. Tom Tanner thanked the staff for their work on the pay plan. He expressed the importance of public safety, but also recognized the efforts of all employees in the county. He expressed his desire to adopt the plan as presented. Mr. Andy Hargrove asked how the proposal compares to other localities. Mr. Gottschalk responded that the revised plan compares favorably, referencing a matrix of comparable localities in central and southern Virginia he had developed. Mr. Jim Jennings expressed concerns about the large amount of information to digest and suggested that the timeline to complete the review by the following Monday was too aggressive. He proposed evaluating the average salaries for specific positions in other counties and setting a goal to surpass those averages, to take the subjectivity out of the process. He also noted that this is not a time-sensitive matter. Mr. Gottschalk responded that no formal action is needed on Monday. Rather, the plan recommended by the committee will be used to move forward with the budget and program that document. Formal action by the entire board will occur along with action on the budget. He also outlined the criteria used in the matrix, which included economic-driven property valuations and other tax and revenue-based generators. This would align the county with its economic peers as opposed to only its geographic ones. Ms. Judy Sheffield shared that she reviewed salaries from other localities and confirmed that Mecklenburg County's salaries are below the average, citing several examples. She also compared health benefits and noted that Mecklenburg's workforce is primarily employee-only, such that the generosity of the board's prior extra commitment to family coverage is not as impactful as a retention tool. Provision of employee-only coverage at little to no cost to the employees is the industry standard. She further discussed comparable holidays and salary examples with several other large organizations in the county. She emphasized that the numbers in the proposal were based on thorough research. She noted that both public safety employees and other staff were included in the comparisons and positional assignments. Ms. Blackwell questioned whether funding this proposal will still maintain the county's financial stability. Mr. Gottschalk responded by stating that there is ample revenue to support these initiatives and that the county's ongoing revenue picture is promising. He also highlighted that other counties aspire to be as financially stable as Mecklenburg. Upon a motion of Mrs. Lundy, the Personnel Committee's revised pay plan proposal was agreed to, and that a recommendation be made to the Budget and Finance Committee for incorporation of the proposal into the county's recommended fiscal year 2025-26 budget, and that county administration be directed to include the Personnel Committee's revised plan into the baseline of said recommended budget. Ms. Blackwell, Mrs. Lundy, Mr. Tanner, and Mr. Wilkinson voted aye. The committee then discussed an advanced implementation of the new plan for the landfill. Mr. Gottschalk and Ms. Sheffield noted that they had two ideally situated candidates who desire county employment, but were unable to accept employment offers at the existing pay rate. It is county administration's belief that such candidates could be onboarded at the new rate, and thus administration desire to secure these candidates. The committee registered no objections to the request, thereby consenting to such attempts to recruit for this department and filling these critical vacancies. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you, Ms. Blackwell. That's a lot of information there. I will open it up for discussion among the board members if anyone would like to have any comments on that.
The only thing I'll say, Mr. Chairman, is I think it's a plan where we invest in our employees that are here in the county, and I think it's going to be a good way for us to retain quality employees and also recruit new ones.
Okay. Alex, you have a comment? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we will move right along to the landfill committee. Mr. Spence.
All right. Landfill Committee met on Monday, March 10, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Board of Supervisors meeting room. Members present: Dennis Spence, Claudia Lundy, David Brinkley, Kirk Rabbit. Also present was Jim Jennings, Andy Hargrove, Tom Tanner, Brenda Blackwell, Sterling Wilkerson, Alice Gottschalk, County Administrator, Judy Sheffield, Assistant County Administrator, Jenny Whitmore, Clerk, Terry Bowen, Landfill Director, Lamont Dodd, Assistant Landfill Director, Terry Edmonds, Litter Control Officer, and Wayne Carter, Special Projects Manager. Mr. Spence called a meeting to order. Mr. Spence opened the meeting and stated that the first item of business is one that was in local headlines last week, addressing waste management challenges. The committee members and staff discussed strategies for addressing waste management issues at public dumpsters. Key concerns included identifying the worst spots affected by illegal dumping, contractors misusing the sites, and individuals dumping waste after hours. These actions not only put a strain on on landfill employees, but also create unsightly conditions. The committee explored the potential for educational initiatives to raise awareness, as well as implementing a pilot program that would utilize 360-degree instant cameras to monitor and deter illegal dumping activities. To improve waste management, a busy site, the county is hiring additional drivers to ensure that these locations are serviced more frequently. This will help alleviate overcrowding and prevent waste from piling up. Additionally, the county plans to add more 40-yard roll-off dumpsters to high-traffic areas, particularly on weekends, to accommodate increased dumping during peak times. These measures are aimed to improve the efficiency of waste collection and reducing the burden of landfill employees, The committee discussed talking with Piedmont Court Services to make community service at landfills the priority option for individuals convicted of illegal dumping violations. This approach aims to both penalize offenders and provide them with an opportunity to contribute positively to address the waste management problem that they have helped to create. Mr. Spence advised that the next item was convenience center construction updates. Wayne Carter provided updates on the progress of current convenience center under construction, highlighting their status and expected timelines. He also discussed centers that are currently going through the permitting process, outlining the steps being taken to ensure compliance with regulations. Additionally, Carter touched on future land acquisition issues, presenting options for expanding waste management services and addressing the growing needs of the county's waste disposal infrastructure. Mr. Brankley advised the committee that he has received some concerns about the sorting recycle operation that is operating prior to having a special exemption permit approved. Staff was instructed to address the issue with the Robert Hendrick zoning administrator. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, of that group, Mr. Carter brought up some about the gravel that was rock and all that was ground up at that site. Yes. Do we want to take action on that to they want to use it for the regional landfill? Can we do that?
Yes, it'd be appropriate to take action on that. Am I correct, Mel?
Yep.
Can I go ahead and put that in a form of motion?
Sure.
So that we can vote and make a decision on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all have heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Spence.
Yes, sir.
Kevin, you got a VDOT update?
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Y'all got our VDOT report in your board package. A few things just want to hit on. The repairs are, are ongoing on Dry Creek Road. Still got some work to do up there, but we're going to get that fixed up. Our inmate labor, we're going to be focusing on litter here in the next couple months, and Route 92 between Boydton and Chase City is first priority on that. Pretty much our crews just this month been fixing potholes, dirt road maintenance, and doing shoulder work. This summer, Rural Rustic for this year is Hayes Mill Road. That's 2.52 miles. Any questions?
Anyone have questions?
Yeah, I was gonna let you know that the pipe at 49 and 58, it's collapsed now.
Okay.
So-
The contractor's up in Brunswick. He had 2 to do in Brunswick, and then he's coming. I look for him to be there either this week or next week.
Okay.
How's that?
Sounds great.
All right.
I noticed that we mentioned something about the inmates picking up the trash on certain roads. We would continue to use them throughout the summer potentially to do a lot of the roads?
We use them all we can get. They're getting about 2 miles a day, so it takes a while. So we'll use them all we can and target primary first, and then we'll get some of the bad spots on secondary as much as we can.
When's the official opening of Old Cox in 92?
I think they're supposed to be paving this week or next week, and I think that's probably last.
That'd be about it.
Yeah, that's going to be the last thing. I'm hoping by April 1st. I don't know what Alex got anything.
Yeah, so the biggest impediment to that was the shutdown period. You know, we can't lay pavement over the core of the winter months. But that project will, as soon as we can get the trucks back out there, that project will be finalized and finished. So I think that's a fairly good time frame. I don't recall off the top of my head exactly when the substantial and final completion dates were, but as I recall, they're probably around May, so April. And the company wants to be done with it as much as we want it to be done with it. So
Yeah,
it should happen
I can
shortly.
tell it's in the 11th hour, so I knew it had to be close.
Yeah. Yeah, if not for that shutdown period, it would have been finished months ago.
Okay. Anyone else?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. Wondering, we've talked in the past about the high traffic on 58 that we're seeing now. I'm sure there's some studies been done on that we're seeing an increase probably each year. Observation has been that some of these intersections, we talked about doing flashing lights and things of that nature. Can you give us any update, if there is any, on anything that's being done pertaining to some of these intersections? I know we talked about the one at Route 4 a little bit. I want to bring up another area of concern, which is at Highway 1 and 58. That crossover there, I think is intended for traffic from number 1 to be able to continue on to 58 and then continue on. I've observed people that are coming to that intersection, and because of high traffic volume, they get across one lane that's closest to Highway 1, and they get in the middle and stop. And that's really not a median. I think you might agree that it's not really enough room there to call it a median, but people are stopping there because they can't get into the next lane of traffic on 58 West to continue on. And I don't know if anybody else has observed anything in that area or not. I know I've seen at least 2 incidents there where people were kind of stuck. So I'm just wondering if, going forward, if that's an area that we could also look at.
Yeah, that is on the Route 58 corridor plan. That was one of the intersections that was noted on there to do some changing. Now, I mean, that's going to be down the road. It's going to have to be some kind of project there to do it, like a smart scale or something to do that. But it has been an increase of traffic coming from south on 1 to, coming from the south to that intersection. I will have, I don't mind running it through traffic engineering again and just seeing what they got. Maybe they can do some paint marks or something up there to improve it or something. Right. We'll see what we can do. I'll mention that to them.
Okay. What?
I just had a comment. I just want to thank y'all for getting on Dry Creek like you did. They were very time sensitive to it and really reacted well. And constituents and everybody around there really appreciates that.
Yes, sir. We'll get it straight for you.
I know. Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Alex?
All right. Mr. Chair, we have 2 people signed up this evening. The first person is Tracy Watson.
3 minutes.
Yeah, I would remind everybody, 3 minutes, state your name, where are you from?
Yeah, Tracy Watson, I'm from Clarksville, Virginia. First time here, so. I'm here tonight because I feel like there should be a review of how the animals or the stray animal system is in this county with animal control. We only have one shelter service in this entire county, and it's completely full. And whenever you have a stray animal running around, they get picked up by animal control, taken over to a holding facility, and then there's volunteers and people. There's like a Facebook page that volunteers spend their own money and time on to try to network these animals. And then I understand they get euthanized pretty quickly sometimes, like 5 days. So it could be a pet, but there's not enough time to find out where the owners are. So I just feel like there's a huge concern. It's growing with population. There's financial reasons, like people can't spay and neuter their animals. They need more vet care options in the county. So I would just like to get the ball started on seeing if we can find a solution for it. Maybe another shelter on the other side of the county, because Mecklenburg's so huge. And then just some more awareness of how the animals are brought in, how much time do they have. Maybe it's like an antiquated system that can be updated as far as adoptability. You know, it takes longer to adopt some animals. Holly Burnett's with me here today, and she volunteers for the animal control. And I wanted to support her on this mission, and I've known her for a long time, and I know she spends a lot of her time and life and energy to do with other local volunteer rescues, because the shelter is, if you try to take a dog or a cat right now to the shelter, they will turn you away. So that's really a concern. It's not just an individual problem. I think it's an entire county problem. So, and I brought pictures if anybody would like to see some of the stray animals and what they're held in. When they get brought in, they're put in these little tiny cages, regardless of size. They don't get to run around in the pens, and they're held like that. And then they get a little evaluation before they know if they're adopted or not. So not so fair. These are some of the other animals that were brought in. So all different kinds. They can be in poor condition, okay condition. You'll notice that a lot of them are hunting dogs. You know, we can need more accountability on hunting dog population in the county. Hunting dogs, hunting dogs. Not saying that's a problem, but it could start there with a little bit more regulation. So that's what I came to say. So I would love to take it further if we need to do a committee or want to talk about it with anyone. I'm not sure exactly who to go to, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. The next speaker is Holly Burnett.
Hey guys, this is in continuation with what Tracy brought to the table. I have been a volunteer. I've been doing animal rescue for over 16 to 18 years. I had my own nonprofit, took a leave of absence, came back. Animal control has reached out for help with networking and advocating for these animals because they're being euthanized. There was a brief time, the last 2 months, everything was being put down. They're not seen, they're not heard. I am asking for a paid position to do the job that I'm actually doing with the Facebook page, the moderating, the networking, finding other rescue groups. Blue Horse Muckle Rescue, which is actually a horse rescue, has been pulling dogs, and we've spent $15,000 in the last 3 months vetting, spaying and neutering, and getting these dogs to other facilities with transports. I spend about $35 to $40 hours a week doing this. Out of my own pocket, I spend about $300 to $400 in gas, dog treats. Sometimes it's the first they'll ever get and the last they'll ever get. I spend all in gas. It's an hour one way. I go 30 minutes up, 30 minutes back. Some of the things that I have seen, I don't know how these gentlemen do their jobs, but I applaud them, and I would like to ask for more support for this county. This is a revolving door situation where there's no end in sight. Sometimes we think we're making a difference and we're making a dent in the population, and there's no recourse. Like, we need assistance. I really believe that we need a new shelter with a bigger facility for accommodations to allow these dogs more time than 5 days. We need more help, and they need more support. Some of the things that they deal with, you'd never want to see in a million years, and I try to forget. This isn't about me. This is about a community issue, a community problem. Spay-neuter laws, how many dogs you can have on your property. There's no amount. You can have as many dogs as you like as long as you're having county tax paid for. There's just a checks and balances system there where we just need support. And respectfully, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Mr. Gottschalk, I believe you're up.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item we have for you this evening is the award of our zoning and subdivision revision project. In December, the board authorized us to go to market to look for a consultant firm to conduct this work. In January, the legislative committee met, interviewed 3 finalists, and scored them. The legislative committee also authorized county staff to negotiate with the firms to get the best possible offer. After the entire process concluded, there was a very clear, very distinct number one choice, and that would be 3TP Ventures. You will note that 3TP Ventures did perform our comprehensive plan, so they have a lot of experience in the county and in what is going on here in Mecklenburg County. Therefore, at this time, we need to award the contract, award the project, and then approve the contract, and so that way we can commence it. The overall expected time frame for this project is roughly about 1 year. We put into the contract that they have as late as July 1, 2026, but based on the work schedule, we do anticipate about 1 year from now, so probably about the March or April meeting next year, coming back and having a new ordinance adopted that will take us for the next period of time in our county's existence.
Is that one motion or two? The agreement?
It would be one motion. So I can read the actual language if you would like that we would need to do. And that would be in accordance with the provisions of section 2.2-4302.2.A.3 of the Code of Virginia. The Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors finds that 3TP Ventures has made the best proposal and provides the best value regarding the county's rewrite of the zoning and subdivision ordinance project, and therefore the board awards the performance of this project to 3TP Ventures and approves the attached agreement between the county and 3TP Ventures to govern the completion of this project.
Okay. We'll assume we need a motion to approve that.
Yes.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
And the motion's been made to approve this agreement. Any discussion? Cost.
The total cost of this project, it has a base price of $220,281. We also selected to go forward with an option alternative that would add up to potentially $15,000 on top of that. That is within the budget we had already set out for this project. That amount will be spread over 2 different fiscal years. And we have that.
2 different, what now?
2 different fiscal years is
2
that
different
total
budgets.
cost spread.
Okay.
And we have that in our baseline for this year and in next year.
Okay. All right. Does that answer? Yes. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Okay.
The next one, Mr. Gottschalk.
I will turn that over to Russell.
All right. Antlers Road has submitted a request for a 2232 determination. I believe I'm correct. Antlers Road has not submitted an SCP or a siting agreement yet. The Planning Commission wants to take this up in April, not in March. And they have already indicated that they do not intend to act in April. They're going to hear what the public has to say and then wait until May to act. Under Virginia law, the Planning Commission has only 60 days to act once it gets a request. However, Virginia law permits the Board of Supervisors to grant extensions of that deadline. So the request of you is that you take action tonight, extending to June 1 of this year the deadline for the Planning Commission to take action on the Antlers Road 2232 application.
Okay. Any discussion before we have a motion? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we extend the deadline to June 1st.
June 1st. Okay. Everyone's heard the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Okay.
I'll let Russell do the next one as well.
Let Russell do the next one, okay.
The board is certainly aware that it has discussed amending Article 20 of the zoning ordinance, and specifically to remove utility scale solar as a permitted use in Mecklenburg County anywhere with or without a special exception permit. In order to do that, there's a process that has to be followed. It has to begin with the Planning Commission. Well, really, it begins with the Board of Supervisors this evening. You're asked to adopt an initiating resolution, which will start this process. And if you adopt this resolution, a timeline has been developed as follows. On March 27, the Planning Commission would hold its public hearing on the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance. If the Planning Commission acts and makes its recommendation that evening as expected, then it could be on the board's agenda for April 14, both for your public hearing and if you see fit for adoption. This is as quickly as it can possibly be done to get it to you on April 14, and that is what's proposed. So the recommendation is that you take favorable action on this initiating resolution, adopt it to get the process started.
So we need a motion to approve the initiating resolution. Any discussion before someone makes a motion?
The only question I have is the current two projects that Finneywood and Seven Bridges that are in the process would be allowed to.
Real good point. The ordinance, which will be available and sent to you, I think tomorrow, provides that any pending applications at the time the ordinance is adopted will be entitled to be heard to completion. And that is one, it could very well be more than two, Mr. Tanner. It could be three.
Sure.
But we don't control landlord trade, but I think when they find out about this, they're getting an application, they're pretty quick. So there may be three you need to go forward with. To state the obvious, you're going forward with it does not take away any of your prerogatives. I mean, you can approve it, you can not approve it, same as always. But you are committing that since they have their applications in, their SEP applications in, you will let them run the course, even though this would otherwise stop them from being heard.
We'll allow them to complete the process.
Yes, sir.
That's all. I wanna make
Exactly.
sure.
Okay, I'll call for a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been made. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries.
The last item we have here is our customary staff reports. I do want to draw your attention to the fact that the third attachment in there, we do have the dates set out for the budget process and adoption for this year. And for the public, I do want to let you all know that the draft budget will be presented at the next board meeting in April, and the public hearing will be held on April 24th, which is a Thursday at 7 p.m. So all the public members that wish to comment on that budget, which will be available long before that date, your window of time to make formal comments in front of this board will be on April the 24th.
Okay. Anything else? Nope. All right, moving along to the chairman's report. I think we need to make an appointment on the Board of Zoning and Appeals. And Mr. Finch, you had some names that you had brought up, I think, in an email to us.
Yes, sir. We came down to Mr. John Davis was the individual that's one of the individuals that's interested. So I spoke to him, and he did acknowledge that he was very interested.
Okay. Does he want to be appointed tonight, you think?
I'll probably need to talk to him again.
Okay. Can we postpone that another month? Mr. Gotcho?
Yes, the current incumbent has indicated that he will serve through March. Of course, the Board of Zoning Appeals meets on an ad hoc basis, so we don't necessarily have a guaranteed meeting that would require somebody to be on that body at this particular point, unless, is there anything pending, Robert, that you're aware of?
On his very last day.
Okay, but then after that, there's no more in the process? Okay, then we would have sufficient
We'll
time
do
to
this
do
in
it.
April. You want to get with Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I just want to, just speak to him one more
That'd be
time.
good. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. All right, very good. Everyone's had a chance, I hope, to look at the consent calendar. I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Board member comments, Mr. Wilkerson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have a lot tonight. I did want to say thanks to everyone for the franchise agreement for the fiber. It's hard enough to gain that to your house, and it's basically what these people had gotten and just couldn't quite access it. So we've really stepped up there, and I just want to thank everybody for their support with that. That's really about all I had.
All right, very good. Ms. Blackwell?
I was glad to see the comments on the animal situation here in Mecklenburg County. Upgrades are needed. We need better facilities. So we just need to do better with that.
Not all, Ms. Moore.
That's it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. Gravitt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to remind everybody, the Lake Country Soil and Water District is going to have an ag tire recycling collection March the 13th. It's going to be in South Hill. Contact Mr. Avery Lane or Mr. Taylor Clark if you plan to participate with the estimate of number of tires. They've got prorated fees, of course, depending on the size. I think this is, with the discussion of the landfill and the current stuff going on within the county, it might be a good little avenue for some people to get rid of some tires. Other than that, very happy with the pay flow program going forward, and everybody be safe. We'll see you next month.
All right, very good. Thanks for bringing up the big details there. Mr. Town?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing I'd like to say, well, I know we've talked about trash a lot tonight, but I think it's something that all the citizens need to be involved in when it comes to it. We're having a lot of issues at the dumpster sites where the dumpster's empty, but the trash is being thrown on the ground in front of the dumpster and not even put in it. So I would encourage everyone to do their part to make sure Mecklenburg stays a beautiful county and not throw trash everywhere and put it in the dumpsters. And if you see the dumpsters full, come back another day. I know it's a headache, but then the dogs or anything or other animals don't get in it and it doesn't get scattered everywhere. So I think we just as a group need to take better care of our county. Also, as I said earlier with the pay plan, I think this is a huge investment in our employees, and I think it's going to definitely pay us dividends in the future. And the only other thing, the zoning and the ordinance rewrite that I think we're looking at is absolutely needed because the county is changing. We need to make sure we stay up to date with all our ordinances and don't have anything that sneaks in to make sure that we're on top of everything. And I appreciate Alex and all of his staff's hard work on that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Lundy?
Tanner, I'm gonna say everything I'm gonna say, so I did what he just said. I told him he must look through my paper.
I've been looking over your shoulder all night.
He's been copying off your paper, hasn't he?
In his head.
Well, you both got an A+.
Exactly the same thing. It's a good investment. Whole 9 yards.
See, I told you I've been looking over your shoulder.
I did what he said. Okay.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes, sir. I want to thank the landfill employees publicly for what they do. One thing I was reminded of with today's meeting is there's a lot of activity that goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. And so, and they're a big part of that. So I want to thank them for what they do. Very much appreciate it. And to echo what we just talked about, it's going to take the citizens to do their part, to pitch in and try to help us keep these dumpster sites clean. I would also mention, because I use the dumpster sites myself. What I would recommend the citizens also do is pay attention to what the routine is or what the timeline is when the dumpsters are being dumped and or when they're more empty. That way, you know, like if a person's used to going on Sunday night and the dumpster's gonna probably be full, change your habits to maybe go on Monday night. You know, you're more likely to find a dumpster that's empty that you can utilize. So things of that nature, just think ahead. I also want to thank the citizens that's coming forward, sharing different concerns that you might have. Very often, we don't know these things unless someone comes forward and shares information. So thank you for your time in doing that. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Brackett?
Well, a whole lot's been spoken here, so, but,
Yeah, I won't have nothing.
Mr. Hargrove.
yeah. But, this past week being on the, member of the, Mecklenburg County Farm Bureau Board and with Mr. Jennings here, just like to thank Alex and Wayne for coming up and speaking. I think, what was it, 7 counties, or was it 9?
Pennsylvania, Halifax, Charlotte, Lunenburg, Mecklenburg, and Brunswick.
But them two got up and spoke a little bit about what's going on in our county and the things we are doing and trying to get ahead of stuff and all of that. And I think every one of those counties left there pretty much in awe of what we are doing. And I think people don't realize how much of a leader we are in Southside Virginia, what Mecklenburg County is doing. And I think we need to be really proud, and I think we are. But go back to the garbage and the trash and the stuff like that. The citizens got to take a little more pride in what we got. And I think, you know, neighbors got to look out for neighbors, and we just need to do a better job at it and show, you know, what we do have, you know. So I'll yield my time to Mr. Hargrove. If he gets it in 8 minutes, we can leave here in less than an hour.
Yeah.
That's a world record.
Yeah,
You know,
so,
I'm trying to set a record tonight, don't mess it up.
yeah. Alex, can you hit the buzz over there?
Give him 3 minutes.
You know how it works?
We might have
3 minutes. 3 minutes, buddy.
we may have to give him a big old Family Feud X here right in the middle.
3 minutes.
Mr. Hargrove.
Thanks so much, Brett. Thank you very much. Let us all be dismissed by the word amen.
Amen.
Thank everybody for coming tonight. I was wondering if there could be any discussion or there could be any focus on the animal shelter since they brought that to our attention. At least to have some discussion on it behind doors and see what can be done. And also like to ask, has any application been submitted for zoning as we go through the process?
Actually, we finally secured an application on Friday of an individual who has qualifications and work experience in the specific field. So we will be reviewing that. There's been a lot of activity, a lot of conversations that have occurred on that position. Unfortunately, we have not yielded the outcomes that I was hoping to yield to date, but you know, I'm still optimistic about the outcome to come going forward. So there is some movement on that front.
And I'm going to thank everybody for pay plan submission. And also, Mr. Carter, we're looking for a convenience center. We have some property. This guy right here, he has 4 acres that he'll let us have at the edge of his pasture. So you might want to talk to him after this.
Donated. I heard donated.
Donate. Oh, thank you very much. He donated.
Bring it on.
He even throw the cow in with it.
I'm charging for the. I'm charging for the trash, though. I can tell you that. Gonna be a toll up there. Be some tariffs on that stuff.
Is that all you had?
Yes, sir. That's it.
I don't have a lot. I think everybody covered it pretty good. I would like to follow up because that's what I was going to actually say in my board member comments. I want to thank Wayne and Alex for coming to that Farm Bureau. It's a policy development meeting, and that's where they surface their grassroots ideas to take to the General Assembly. Eventually, some of those will fall by the wayside, and some of them will grow legs and become resolutions and be lobbied in the General Assembly. But the both of them really gave a good description of what's going on in Mecklenburg County with data centers, and they were talking to people over a wide geographic area in this state. So everybody, and I talk to a lot of people in Farm Bureau almost daily, and they were very impressed with what y'all did, and I greatly appreciate it. Other than that, that's all I have. So we stand adjourned.
You got 5 minutes.